Defending World Series champs, welcome to Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN, presented by Taco Bell. Some of the biggest star power in all of baseball in uniform tonight, and as highly decorated as both pitching staffs are, these infields are overflowing with talent. And star power no brighter than at the shortstop position, where each side boasts a young marquee attraction that could lay equal claim to being the best in the game. Francisco Lindor of the Cleveland Indians, Carlos Correa of the world champion Houston Astros. Both are under 25 years old. Both hit for power and average and are considered plus defenders and franchise cornerstones in their respective cities for perhaps years to come. When you line them up side by side, it is breathtaking how similar and how productive both of these young superstars are. From a similar corner of the world, both have postseason hardware, both have been to all-star games, and both are coming off of career years. With that, we welcome you inside the broadcast booth with Jessica Mendoza and Alex Rodriguez, Matt Vasgersian. I'm not going to ask you guys to go debate style here.
Oh, come on.
But pick a shortstop, Alex, and tell me why he's a star.
I'll take both.
No.
I love these guys. You know, I'm going to go with Lindor. He has the smile and the charisma of Magic Johnson. He's got 6 tools, not 5. He can hit with power, he can run, he can field, he can throw. But the 6'1", he's got the it factor. He is a winner. He's savant-like the way he studies. And if I was the general partner of the Indians, Mr. Larry Dolan, I would sign him ASAP for the lifetime.
You love spending other people's
I
money.
do.
I've learned that about you.
All right, if you're throwing out Magic Johnson and that's a personality that Lindor has, then Carlos Correa has the body of Magic Johnson. You got a 6'4" shortstop, and what he's ability to do with that body, plus it's easy power. Because he's got those levers, he's not just a pull hitter, he's got the ability to go all fields. And you think about, since last May, he's top 5 in slugging percentage of all players, not just shortstops. This guy can rake, and he wants to be a star.
Future's bright for these two. By the way, did we mention they've both got $1 million smiles that can light up a room? And they're great friends. But I'll tell you, Carlos Correa has something that Francisco Lindor and the tribe would love to have. A World Series ring. A team that hasn't got one since 1948 takes on the defending champs.
I can't
Next. Wild Naked Chicken Chalupa. And in part by Nissan, innovation that excites. And the magic of Walt Disney World Resort Hotels. Series finale on tap from Minute Maid Park in Houston, where the roof is most definitely closed in anticipation of perhaps a passing late mid-May shower, something this part of the country is used to. And nothing has dampened the enthusiasm of Jason Kipnis. Just a little pregame wrestling match with Sandy Alomar. And over on the home side of things, an Astros team in first place with one of its 5 aces on the mound tonight, right-hander Lance McCullers. Let's take a look at Terry Francona's Indians starting lineup tonight, brought to you by Taco Bell. The Indians just leading the league in runs scored this month.
Oh man, are they happy just to have a happy, yes, healthy Michael Brantley. Not only does he have the ability to go to all fields, utilize the field, but he doesn't strike out. His contact rate and what he's done in this offense between Lindor and Ramirez has been awesome for what they've been able to produce.
It is Lance McCullers on the mound for the Astros tonight, making his 10th starting assignment of the year, looking for his 6th winner of 2018. Coming off a start on Monday in Anaheim, where he certainly pitched well enough to win 6 innings of baseball, allowed 2 runs on 4 hits, struck out 6, and was a tough luck 2-1 loser, something that's been kind of a theme for the Astros this year. They have played in a lot of games where they have pounded their opponents into submission. And they've played in a lot of low-scoring games, as a matter of fact, a league-leading 13 of them in which they have scored 1 or fewer runs. Hard to imagine with this lineup. Well, Terry Francona would love to sneak out of here having taken 2 out of 3. A man who has won at least 90 wins in 9 of his 17 previous managerial campaigns, and he's guiding a pretty good vintage of Astros or Indians team these days. And over on the home side, reigning manager of the year in the American League, World Series champ A.J. Hinch, entering his 4th season as Astros skipper. We're ready for baseball tonight. Lindor, Brantley, and Ramirez against McCullers. And Jess mentioned this when we went on the air. It's something that the Indians lineup is keenly aware of. Look for that curveball early from McCullers. It is his favorite weapon, and it is a good one. So here's Lindor to get us going tonight. He's hit safely in 17 of his last 19 games. And it's a first pitch fastball that misses up and away. 2-time All-Star checking in tonight at .304 with 12 home runs. Speaking of the curveball, let's take a look at StatCast powered by AWS and dive into that nasty breaking ball.
No one throws it more, no one throws it harder, and no one gets more strikeouts from the curveball. That is his superhero pitch. Now, he has struggled with it as of late. This season, the numbers have not been the same on that pitch. A.J. Hinch told us, look for it early because this is a pitch he relies a lot on. It'll dictate how he does this game.
2 balls and a strike to Lindor, who swings and sends a ball to deep center field. Springer's on the run at the track, makes the catch. Now that's some rather loud contact against McCullers for the first order of business tonight.
Yeah, that's his breaking ball. 2-1. Not his great one, but his get me over. And Lindor, perfect swing. Wrong part of the stadium.
And this is a hard catch to make because of the position Springer has to get himself. He ends up having to backpedal to put himself where his glove can get to that ball. Good jump, good athletic ability to make that grab.
So 1 2-time All-Star in the Indians lineup, followed by another. Here's Michael Brantley, who is off to a resurgent start to 2018. When you look at the Indians, it's been the top of the order that has been doing all the heavy lifting for them. In fact, Cleveland is the only American League team with 3 qualifying hitters batting above 300, and you'll see them all in the first inning. Lindor, Brantley, and Ramirez. Into the opposite field and well hit. Kemp's in the corner down there. He reaches up and makes a great catch. Wow.
Probably one of the more difficult left fields to be able to make this grab, because there's not a lot of room when you look at the foul line and where he's got to go, maybe 4 feet. So not only does he know where he's at, he makes the jump. This is a fair ball. He's almost overran it, so he's planning to jump to go get it, realizes mid-jump, look at that, mid-jump, hey, I gotta go back and grab it, does it, brings it in. Nice catch for Tony Kemp.
There is always a room to tap into your basketball background. That's like hang time on the fadeaway jumper.
I expected the tongue to come out like full on Jordan it.
So here's Jose Ramirez now after a couple of loud outs against McCullers. Ramirez also off to a great start at 302, 13 home runs and 31 driven in. He's hit safely in 16 of his last 19. Two gone, bases empty to start the ball game for Lance McCullers. There's a heater in for a strike. So in that last start of McCullers, and we all found this interesting, fewer curveballs than in any previous major league start. Only 21 of them 5 days ago against the Angels. And he takes care of Ramirez on the gas. Perhaps we're witnessing a rebranded Lance McCullers with a little help in the corner. A scoreless start to the night. For Jose Altuve and his mates to go to work in the bottom of the inning. A scoreless start to the night as we take a look at our Astros starting lineup, brought to you by Taco Bell.
Yeah, and led by their best player, the face of the franchise, Jose Altuve, the 28-year-old from Venezuela, off to another terrific start. Power has not caught up, but he feels good as of late. So expect some power here coming up as the summer heats up here in Houston.
Tough assignment for the Astros tonight in this finale as they face the 31-year-old right-hander Carlos Carrasco, looking for his 6th winner of the year, also making his 10th start of the season, coming off a game Tuesday in Detroit in which he was on the wrong end of the ledger, gave up 3 earned runs over 6 2/3. He's had a couple of starting assignments here in this ballpark and has pitched well here in Houston. George Springer leads things off for the Astros. Bottom of the first underway with a first pitch jam shot. Alonso way off the bag to make the play, and with Carrasco covering, the Indians made that look a lot easier than it was.
And what should be a routine play here for Kipnis, Alonso goes way to his right and makes an easy play very difficult.
I mean, yonder's almost at the bag. I give Carrasco a lot of credit for reading that and getting off the bag as quickly as he did. So 1 pitch and 1 out for Carrasco. That'll bring up Alex Bregman, who homered yesterday. Number 4 came yesterday against Indians reliever Neil Ramirez. So the defending World Series champs last year, a long route to winning the Commissioner's Trophy, led the league in runs, hits, batting average, on base percentage, slugging, OPS, and we could keep going. And they did all that along with the fewest strikeouts of any major league team. Really was an awesome performance altogether. This year they're on the same path, right, the same kind of pace to winning around 101 games, which is what they won last year. And they're doing it a little differently. Middle of the pack offensively. Strikeouts are on the rise. The good news is the starting pitching has been so good. Anything that happens on the other side of the scorecard is just a bonus here for the Astros.
Well, that's what's scary to think about, how much better the Astros can be. And they just won the World Series, but their pitching has been ridiculous. And, you know, will they keep up with the top 3 pitchers in this rotation have done? I don't think so, but the hitting can even be better, especially the numbers they put up last year. But that's something that you're really waiting for as the summer comes in, is the power numbers, the home runs.
Counts 2 balls and 2 strikes on Alex Bregman. It's amazing to think that the Astros in first place, clearly still the class of their division, if not the entire American League, haven't hit their stride offensively yet. 3-2 now.
Guys, you're seeing here Carlos Carrasco struggling a little bit of command with that slider. Jan Gomes, their catcher, told me, look, I think he's got the best stuff on this staff. But what they'll do is, in his bullpen session beginning of the game, they'll get a feel for whether or not his curveball is better than his slider, and that will dictate choices as they go along.
Full count, 3 balls and 2 strikes to Alex Bregman. And a base hit to left.
Nice at bat here by Bregman. 3-2 fastball, 96 miles an hour, middle. Alex Bregman all over it. Nice and tight. Gets the foot down nice and early and explodes to the ball. Great bat speed.
One out, one on now for the 5-time All-Star and 3-time batting champion Jose Altuve. Altuve ever aggressive, fouling off the first fastball he sees. Well, Jose Altuve has hit safely in 5 in a row. And when you consider what he's capable of doing and what we know is still in the tank this year, his month of May has been a little curious. Some rather un-Altuve-like productivity, just 254 this month. And he's quickly behind 0-2.
And teammates say that he'll fret when he's struggling. And yesterday I asked him if he had seen Ozzie Albies, the Brave second baseman. He goes, yeah, he's better at 21 than I was at 21. And then he paused mournfully and added, he's better at 21 than I am at 28.
The expectations are always high for Jose Altuve for sure. Behind 0-2 now with Bregman aboard at first. Houston doesn't run a lot. Bregman swiped 3 this year. And Carrasco lost his footing as he threw to first base.
Sometimes with the wet dirt, your cleats get caught in there. Perhaps that's what happened there with Carrasco.
Quick snap throw to first base where Bregman's back. I was going to suggest maybe pulling up the britches a little bit, but that's how the kids are wearing them these days. That's not quite the Manny Ramirez act where he used to hook it to the back of his cleat, but
it's close.
That's good and baggy there. And yes, at 31, Carrasco is a kid. So 2-2 to Jose Altuve. Correa waits next here in the last of the first. There's a parallel here with Carrasco and McCullers. We talked about McCullers not using his now famous curveball as often last time around. Same with Carrasco's favorite weapons, or one of them at least, the great split change he features. Bregman runs and Altuve fouls it off. In the loss we talked about that Carrasco suffered in Detroit 5 days ago, he used that splitter changeup in less than 10% of the pitches he threw. That has been at points one of his favorite weapons.
Well, one of the biggest reasons is teams have been slugging .481 against that pitch in particular. When you recognize, same with McCullers on the curveball, and that pitch just isn't getting that same bite, which for him it has to have that downward depth. He's going to it less and less.
See if Bregman runs again. He stays put this time, and Altuve shoots it into right. Bregman cuts the bag. Melky Cabrera's throw to third is in time to get him. Welcome to Cleveland, Melky Cabrera.
Yeah, some good baseball here. Altuve with a 2-2 slider, 84 miles an hour, stays on it really nicely. And then Melky Cabrera, a really nice addition for the Indians, has always had a bazooka, cañón for an arm. And making his presence felt early here for the Cleveland Indians.
And such a great at-bat from Altuve. So you take a look at the throw and tag. I mean, you had to have the perfect throw to get Bregman the aggressiveness of these Astros base runners. But Altuve, to your point, 2 strikes, his ability to just poke that ball through. That's what makes him so good.
So now Carlos Correa with Altuve getting to second base behind that play at third. There might be some Indians fans watching this one tonight that perhaps didn't see the news in the transactions column that Melky Cabrera had his contract purchased from AAA today. Not a lot of time down there. 10 games at AAA, hit .286, and there is a definite need in the Indians outfield with all the injuries they've incurred. Cabrera's here and already contributing. There goes Altuve, and he'll steal third without a throw.
And this is good back-to-back good base running for the Astros. Although Alex Bregman got thrown out, I love the aggressiveness. Now, when they're conceding this base, this is a huge base for the Astros, because now there's many ways you can score a run, including an infield hit or infield error.
The 0-2. One out single by Bregman, thrown out at third on the great throw by Melky Cabrera, who, by the way, in split duty last year had 12 outfield assists. Only 3 players in all of baseball with more assists than Melky last season.
And as you mentioned, he didn't play all that often. And how about them getting another switch hitter in this lineup? I mean, the Indians, they own being able to have such talented switch hitters. Lindor, Ramirez. Now Cabrera, Greg Allen, another switch hitter.
Ball and 2 strikes on Carlos Correa now.
And not only the accuracy, Matt, not only the strength, but also one of the most accurate arms in baseball. This addition is going to turn out to be very, very solid for the Indians.
Ball and 2 strikes. Carrasco trying to keep the Astros at bay despite a couple of base hits here in the bottom of the first. Got him swinging. In and out of trouble is Carlos "Cookie" Carrasco to start his night in Houston. Top of the second, the Indians send up Encarnacion, Alonso, and Correa against Lance McCullers, who finished off the first by striking out Jose Ramirez on a four-seam fastball up around the shoulders. Noteworthy because that seems to be a part of a growing change in the McCullers repertoire. He's quickly in front of Encarnacion 0-2. You can say this about McCullers this year. Here we are in mid-May that is, and he is already halfway toward the total amount of innings he was able to work last year, when he was limited to 22 starts because of a couple of separate stints on the DL that were back related. Healthy this year, so far so good at 5-2. And his second strikeout of the night. Defending World Series champs off to a great start, as we mentioned, on a similar pace in terms of a win total from last year when they won the whole ball of wax at 29-18. That's a game and a half above the surprising Mariners. Count the A's as surprise in that division as well, but Seattle trying to plug away without the services of Robinson Cano, who was hit with the 80-game PED suspension earlier this week. And Alex, everybody is curious as to your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, Matt, this is a tough one for me because I do love Robbie so much, and you know, I know exactly what it feels like to disappoint the Major League Baseball family, my own kids, and you know, I do know that it'll be a long road back, a tough road back, but I'm very confident that Robinson Cano is going to come back and continue his spectacular career. And I hope at the same time he can learn a great lesson and you know, make his life even better.
Well, the Mariners are hoping just to plug away without him. Of course, he will not be eligible to play in the postseason should the Mariners get there. They've got a number of different plans in place as to how to fill that second base spot. Pitch misses upstairs to Yonder Alonso. Ball and 2 strikes to the Indians' first baseman, batting with 1 away, and the base is empty here in the second. Well, there it is. That's a good one.
And good news for McCullers, threw 2 good breaking balls in the first inning. A great one here in the second. That's the McCullers superpower that we're used to seeing, what makes it the best breaking ball in the game.
Well, the fact that he throws it mid-80s, you know it's coming as a hitter because he throws it so often, but the depth he got on that strikeout is what he's been missing his last few starts.
Here's Correa now with 2 out, 3 straight strikeouts for McCullers. We mentioned the split time for Cabrera last year between the White Sox and Royals. Ended up with good numbers, 17 dingers and 85 driven in. And though you didn't hear his name often because he played for a couple of second division teams, he ended up getting into 156 games last year. He falls behind here 0-2. 13-year vet, an all-star back in 2012. And he was a very late sign. Signed a minor league deal in April. I mean, so late the season was already a month old.
And the luxury for Francona to have 3 switch hitters, Ramirez, Lindor, and now Cabrera. All 3 of them have one thing in common. They put the ball in play and they can hit great pitching.
Wow. McCullers unleashes another nasty breaking ball. He's punched out 4 in a row. Lance McCullers Jr. has it working on this Sunday night. Best world traveler Carlos Carrasco, Buster.
Yeah, well, let's get to know him. He's got a whole lot of interest. Carlos Carrasco is someone born and raised in Venezuela. He signed with the Philadelphia Phillies at age 16, became a U.S. citizen in 2016, and he is a world traveler. This is someone who likes to visit other places because he told me he likes getting the world perspective, and he wants his kids. He's got 5 kids to have the same.
He'll go to work on Josh Reddick to start things in the home second. Reddick, Gurriel, and Gonzalez for Houston. No score early on tonight. Yeah, Carlos Carrasco has turned into a not only a great story, but a great veteran leader for the Cleveland Indians. And this was a guy, after all, who in his first big league spring training, a story widely told by now, because of shyness and a language barrier and a lack of sophistication, was reduced to ordering takeout pizza for 90 consecutive days because he didn't know how else to eat dinner. He's come quite a long way since then, Buster.
Yeah, that's exactly right. This is someone who likes to go all over the world. And I talked to him yesterday about this, and he gave us these great pictures that he took on vacation with his wife. Carrasco in India. Carrasco in Italy, the Leaning Tower Pizza. In Switzerland, how about at the mountaintop? Carlos Carrasco in Spain. And one more, Maldives. He told me that he already has plans for the upcoming offseason. He wants to go to South Africa as well to go on safari and also to go to Greece. Now, my question to him was, look, I know I've got kids as well. You're going to take all 5 kids on all those places? He said, no, sometimes it's just me and my wife.
Smart man.
1-2 to Reddick is sent to the air and foul. Still a 1-ball, 2-strike count. Yeah, that's right. 90 straight days.
I can't even imagine.
You know, and Carrasco was the centerpiece of the trade coming back for Cliff Lee and missed the entire 2016 postseason. The results could have been different for the Indians if Carrasco was around.
A swing and a miss. An early theme developing tonight. That's 2 for Carrasco. That'll bring up the DH tonight, Yuli Gurriel. His manager, A.J. Hinch, is wearing a mic tonight and had some thoughts earlier about his designated hitter.
I'm not sure where Yuli went. You like his hair?
Yeah?
I know, me too.
He got good.
Looks like a pineapple. Sign your shirt? In the pen.
And the guy with the pineapple hair sends one into the gap in right center field. Gurriel with a stand-up double with 1 gone in the second.
You see the location of this pitch, and Yuli Gurriel, one of the things that he does such a good job. Watch him go get where this pitch is, the power that he has in a very deep part of this field. This is a fastball on the outside part of the plate, black. But watch the power because he lets it travel and utilizes his backside to drive this into right center field and get himself a double.
And in scoring position now for the first baseman, the switch hitter Marwin Gonzalez. Gonzalez among the 3 Astros who homered yesterday. So A.J. Hinch was having a little fun with that young visitor regarding Yuli Gurriel. I thought he told us some interesting stuff about his DH before the game when he said in a day and age of analytics, when all this information is available, Gurriel's a guy that they like to keep relatively free of that stuff. It's see the ball, hit the ball. Don't take away from his aggressiveness by loading him up with numbers.
Yeah, analytics can be good, but too much analytics can freeze you as a hitter. I remember playing with Pudge Rodriguez, the Hall of Famer, and he was exactly that. For him, less was more. Derek Jeter, another guy, less was more. Some of these guys want to see the ball and hit the ball, and it's worked extremely well for them.
2 balls and no strikes to Marwin Gonzalez. It's beaten on the ground to the right side of the infield. Alonso has trouble with this one.
Two very aggressive plays for Alonso. In the first inning, he makes the play. This one comes back to bite him. There's a very routine play for Kipnis. This is a communication factor. You talk about this before the pitch, really understanding what is everybody's range. Easy play for Kipnis. That's a mental mistake, not a physical mistake.
Scored as an error on the Indians' first baseman. Now an opportunity for Brian McCann with runners at the corners and 1 away. Brian McCann has seen enough of Carlos Carrasco over the years to know that he doesn't really enjoy the experience. Just 1 for 10 against the Cleveland right-hander. One of the 3 Houston catchers that have made up a very productive position this year. Here's a 1-0. Along with Evan Gattis and Max Stassi, Houston catchers lead the American League in batting average and on base percentage. Ball and 2 strikes.
And the reason why that's such a big error for Alonso, if you look at the infield, if there's 2 outs, you will have Yonder Alonso playing back in the grass. You will have Ramirez playing shortstop. As a result of that error, you have holes opened all over the place. You have Alonso at first base. Ramirez has to stay close to third base, which as a hitter, that's a delight.
Gurriel and Gonzalez aboard at the corners with 1 away here. 2-2. Tell you what I liked there was when Carrasco gave Alonso a little slap on the rear end, kind of a little attaboy after he kicked the ball and potentially cost him a big inning. Swing and a miss by McCann. Throw to first base is not in time to get Gonzalez. Almost an inning-ending strike him out, throw him out. Great Major League action coming up on ESPN this week. Tuesday, these Indians against the Cubs at 7 Eastern. Trevor Bauer and Tyler Chatwood there. That's followed by the Rockies and Dodgers at 10 Eastern, the back end of the doubleheader. And then Jess, Alex, Buster, and I will be at Wrigley Field a week from tonight for the Giants and Cubs on ESPN2.
We're going to be in the seats. Out in the outfield. Hanging with guys like that, maybe.
If we're lucky.
At Wrigley. It's one of my favorite parks to watch a game from out in the outfield.
Yeah, and we'll be doing the same exercise back here in Houston 2 weeks from tonight.
Crawford boxes out in left field. I think we'll be getting some action. I know.
Bring your gloves.
Right?
There's a left fielder, Tony Kemp.
Pretend I'm playing left field again.
I'm not a huge fashion guy, as I think the 3 of you know about me by now, but I will say this.
Really?
Yeah. I've been struggling with what to wear next week at Wrigley.
You're thinking about it already?
We come back here, we'll be there, and I feel fine about it. I want to wear.
You want to wear a tank top, or like what do you?
No, how about cowboy boots?
No,
we're in Houston.
Nobody wants to see me in a tank top. I want to wear my huge Hawk Harrelson T-shirt.
Yes.
At Wrigley Field. How do you think that would go over?
I think it will go over great.
Guy's my hero. He's one of the all-time best. Should have been in the Hall of Fame 10 years ago. I start making my case by doing a game from Wrigley with a Hawk T-shirt on.
Hawk is the best, by the way.
Man,
amazing, legend.
Ball and no strikes to Tony Kemp. It's a 2-0 now.
If you guys are in those seats in the Crawford boxes, all I can mention to you, a couple names, Mookie Betts and JD Martinez. They'll be coming for you. The Astros are playing the Red Sox this weekend.
Very good point. A couple of red-hot Red Sox,
I got
by
you,
the way.
Betts. Martinez, don't hit it to us. We'll catch it.
2 balls and a strike to count. Top of the order, George Springer due up next. Carrasco wants to see him leading off the 3rd. He has gone to 3 balls and a strike on Kemp, however. Carrasco doesn't try to get into deep counts, but when he does, at least this year, he has had success. We'll tell you what we mean in a moment. And there's ball 4. Didn't pay off for him there, but on 3 and 2 counts, he's given up only a couple of hits this year. He loses Kemp on the 3-1 pitch, and that loads the bases for George Springer. Houston has a good opportunity to crack the scoreboard first. Springer coming off back-to-back multi-hit games in this series. Gurriel at 3rd, Gonzalez at 2nd, and after the walk, Kemp at 1st. A swing and a miss to Springer on a good slider that time.
And sometimes, even if the Astros don't score, what that error allowed, it added a lot more pitches and leverage pitches. And this could be the reason why Carrasco doesn't get into the 6th or the 7th later on.
Well, you make a good point there, because Carrasco has been among the more efficient starters in the American League this year. He averages fewer than 15 pitches an inning. And while that may sound like a lot, at 14.6 technically pitches per inning this year, that's the 5th lowest in the American League. Again, bases loaded with 2 gone. Off the end of the bat, another ground ball to the right side, and another hook wiggled off of by Carlos Carrasco. When we come back, one big shortstop to another. Alex talks defense with Carlos Correa next. With one of them, Carlos Correa.
Rookie of the Year and an All-Star. I know how much pride you take in defense, and I know you want a Gold Glove. Tell us about what you're doing defensively to make you better.
Well, this year I came up to Espada, who's our bench coach, and he works with us on the infield. And I was like, you know, I make a few errors and stuff, but the defensive grabs, they don't have me like really high. And, you know, we look at video and stuff, and he told me your first step. You gotta get better at your first step, and that's something I took pride on this spring training. And we started working on the first step, and so far this year has been working great. So for me, the first step right now is the most important and something I'm focusing on right now.
Okay, but in layman's terms, for the folks at home, what does that mean, first step?
Well, for me, it's being ready when the pitch is gonna cross the hitting zone. When he's ready to hit, I'm ready to move. So I'm gonna be here before I will creep forward, and then when he hit it, I'll be moving, so I'll be late or too early sometimes. So now what I do is I just stay here, and the hitting zone, I go here, and when he's gonna swing, I get in an athletic position in order for me to move once he hit the baseball.
23 years old, you're about to play Game 7. You know, from my understanding, the entire organization, teammates, AJ Hinch, everybody knows that if you win, you're going to propose to Daniela, who's your fiance. I mean, how good and how confident do you have to be? I mean, I couldn't even make phone calls, and you're planning engagements. Tell me how that went down.
It was a tough day. I don't think I was able to sleep. I was, you know, thinking obviously about performing Game 7, win the World Series, and at the same time, once we won, I had to get engaged. You know, it was something that I can't describe, but at the same time, it was fun once everything happened. You know, if we would have lost, it would have not happened. So I'm glad we won, and I was able to get engaged.
Now, that was a double win right there. I guess my
Two
question
rings
is,
in one night.
2 rings in one night. I am really, really excited about tonight's game because we have not only 2 of the finest young shortstop and players in the game today, but you also represent the great island of Puerto Rico, and you know they've gone through a lot of hard times. Give the fans in Puerto Rico that will be watching you tonight a nice message.
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the game tonight. You know, we represent our beautiful country of Puerto Rico. I know you guys have been through a lot, so hopefully you guys get to enjoy the beautiful game of baseball. Thank you, guys.
Check out the full interview with Carlos Correa. Go to the ESPN channel on YouTube. 1 away here in the 3rd as Jason Kipnis hit a long fly ball to center field, making for 7 up, 7 down against Lance McCullers to start the ball game. And he works a ball and a strike to Yan Gomes. You know, when you were talking, Alex, with Carlos about some of the defensive technique, and you, among others, uniquely qualified to kind of associate with what he goes through because you guys are the same size. AJ Hinch has told us in the past that he had a bad habit of leading with his sternum on his first step. And they want to keep that sternum in, if you will, and keep his arms closer to his body.
Yeah. You know, I came up watching Cal Ripken Jr. as a young man in Miami. And, of course, Cal Ripken was 6'4", 230 pounds. It is different. It is much more challenging than, say, a guy like Francisco Lindor. But here's a guy who's 6'4", 220 pounds, but he runs like a free safety. He can run a 4.40. He squats over 400 pounds. He bench presses over 350. He's a freak of nature, and I love to see the greatest athletes in the world playing the best sport in the world, and that's Carlos Correa.
Okay, so did you have a glove out there? Did you take any? I mean, come on, like you get both you guys out there. Like I was looking forward to some like throws. Did you guys get after a little bit?
Jessica, I threw 4 balls. I'm icing my arm as we speak.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
You know, actually, my daughters helped me find my glove. It was in the garage. I took the dust away from it a little bit and popped it back out. It was fun.
The actual sound of that.
What are you? What are you?
That was Alex's shoulder.
Look at you. We gotta get this.
Here's the other thing too.
You gotta see what Matt just did.
I mean, first of all.
Oh, you guys put me on camera. I was doing the Foley.
Sound effect.
I hate this camera. For the record, I hate this camera.
They catch you.
None of my fun up here.
And Alex, you know this too. They let you off the hook, not showing the last time Correa threw to you because he rifled it, and the look on your face was like, oh yeah, that's what this is like.
Yeah, we're warming up, and when he smoked it, I said, okay, you're warm. Let's go.
Ball and 2 strikes, meanwhile, to Greg Allen. McCullers thought he had him rung up. He struck out 5 tonight so far.
This is a two-seamer that he tries to run back over the plate, and you kind of see the body of Allen move out of the way on that last pitch. It is a ball.
Got him anyway. How about 6 strikeouts first time through? And by the way, the curveball is just fine. Hey, this offseason, AL MVP Jose Altuve took his family to Walt Disney World Resort. Let's have a look at their trip. Carrasco's gotten out of a couple of jams already. He stranded 4 base runners, and here in the 3rd inning, he'll go to work on Bregman, Altuve, and Correa. Alex Bregman singled in his first try tonight and then was thrown out trying to get to 3rd on Jose Altuve's base hit. To Bregman. Slicing foul. Alex Bregman is the best Astros hitter with 2 strike counts. He hits .274 with 2 strikes. Not all 2 strike counts are created equally here. He's sitting on an 0-2 count leading off the inning. And he is caught looking. 4th strikeout tonight for Carrasco. Caught looking at strike 3 and caught trying to take 3rd base back in the 1st.
It looked like Bregman had some really choppy steps.
At second base?
Yes.
And I just like the aggressiveness.
Oh, yeah. I mean, without that, I think he might have made it. Looked like he got to second base and he was off stride a little bit.
Down.
Yeah. Once the ball was hit, he stopped the base right away.
A.J. Hinch and his 3rd base coach Gary Pettis talking about what happened in the 1st. Here's Altuve now. Gary Pettis was one of the fastest players that I can remember watching play. 5-time Gold Glove winner with the Angels. And I guess for a guy that ran like a gazelle, everybody looks like they take choppy steps, right?
That's right. A terrific center fielder for the Angels, like you said, Matt. And he does a fantastic job with the world champs Houston Astros.
A strike to Altuve to put him behind 0-2. Ten strikeouts in this game already. All but one of them swinging.
Now, these are 2 teams that went to back-to-back 7 games. One couldn't finish, the other one closed it. And for the team that didn't close, boy, that haunts you every day.
You know, call me crazy because the pressure's always on the defending World Series champs to repeat, but I think there's more pressure on the Indians this year. That's into right. Very demonstrative is Correa to make the catch. Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN, presented by Taco Bell, is brought to you by Chevy, the most awarded and fastest growing brand the last 4 years overall. And Travelocity. Wander wisely. Orbit celebrating a birthday today. Nobody can exactly place the vintage of Orbit. No one knows when he was born.
How old he is?
No one. He's like Dick Clark.
Lots
Nobody can get to his real age.
Philly Fanatic. Toro.
Correa now. I think that Orbit was born the day the Astros traded Joe Morgan. that makes him pretty old, though. That's probably putting him a little too old. 1-1 to Correa. Maybe it was opening day 1990 when Glenn Davis was hit by a pitch 3 times in 6 plate appearances. Maybe that was the day Orbit was born.
Outside.
You know, Matt, you were talking about earlier about the pressure and who has the most pressure. But if you think about the Indians and you think about the late 90s, their window's closed. They do not want this window to close. And in a market like Cleveland that is challenging, a secondary, tertiary market, they already have a guy in Santana that has gone to Philadelphia. You really want to capitalize on this great young talent and win now.
I'm glad you got me back to that because it's a good point. Andrew Miller's in a walk year. Cody Allen's in a walk year. Michael Brantley's in a walk year. At some point, they're going to have to back up a massive truck for guys like Lindor. This might be the year.
100%.
And a called strike 3 taken by Correa. The 11th strikeout of the game keeps this one a 0-0 tie. Taco Bell, a scoreless game through 3. Pitching and defense have been the orders of the day so far. And moments ago, Buster had a chance to visit with Indians manager Terry Francona on that very topic.
Terry, all about pitching early on so far. What about your guy Carrasco?
He's competing like crazy. You know, in the second, he made really good pitches with the bases loaded because they put pressure on you from 1 to 9, and they keep coming at you. But he's making his pitches.
Lance McCullers Jr., 6 strikeouts, first 3 innings. What do you see in him?
Well, and again, the first thing, I thought we really, we scored up a couple balls. They also defend very well. But again, now we've gone through the order once. Now we'll see if we can make some adjustments.
Terry, thanks.
You got a question?
You know, it's been crazy too with McCullers. We talked so much about his curveball usage, and he's been throwing it dirty tonight, but it's also been his changeup. He's thrown more changeups than curveballs. It's still early, but again, this is a guy who relies almost 50% of the time on that curveball. Because he struggled with it, he's had to find his changeup this season. And with that, now in a bonus, Alex, in a game like tonight, when he's got both pitches, he's able to go to 2 off-speed pitches off the fastball that are, at least early right now, very effective.
That's exactly right. It talks about his arsenal and how diverse he can be in the way he attacks hitters. Tonight has been that front door sinker and changeup with an average breaking ball.
And Lindor rolls over a ball to the right side of the infield. McCullers is there to cover quickly for route number 1.
And I talked to Lance McCullers yesterday and the uniqueness of his curveball, how he used it and how he grips it.
So I throw mine. I always hold over the logo just because where I hold it. And I kind of put my middle finger right in the seam, kind of like right in the seam like that. And then I bring my middle finger down the side of the ball and kind of tuck it on this lace right here. And then my thumb has lace too. And then when I'm coming through, I'm trying to think. I do put a lot of pressure on on this finger right here, my pointer finger, which is why my nail breaks a lot. But then at the end, I try to just like rip over it with my middle finger.
Michael Brantley offers at the first pitch and lines to center for Springer, and it's a quick out number 2.
Well, it's interesting when Lance McCullers talked about the fingernail, and I don't know if you noticed even on the video how long his fingernail is. We were talking, first, this is a guy who's got like dyed hair all the time. He goes to his girlfriend to make sure to use her hair colorist, but also his manicure, and how important that nail. He said if it gets too long, it breaks. He can't use his curveball. He gets it too short, he can't spike it the way he's got it right there in that seam. It's just kind of cool when you think about the variety of ways that pitcher throws the ball. Rich Hill with his blisters, and for McCullers, it's that nail and that spike that he can get to be able to utilize his best pitch.
2 gone for Jose Ramirez. A violent foul ball to put him behind 0-2.
And Jessica, you talk about his breaking ball, but from a hitter's perspective, when a good slider comes in, you see a dime size, and that's the one that you don't want to hit and is actually unhittable. The one that's more like the cement mixer looks more like a quarter, and that one goes a long ways.
For a hitter, yes.
For a hitter.
Still 0-2 to Jose Ramirez.
Alex, how quickly you pick up that dime or that quarter spin out of the pitcher's hand?
I mean, if it's a guy like McCullers and it's the dime, you never see the dime, and that's why you get so many swing and misses. But when you see that quarter, I mean, your eyes light up and it just pops up.
Boy, he just made a real good hitter look clunky, and he got over to the fielder's position in foul territory.
Showing off the range.
Go ahead, you can be in the shift. I'll just take the whole left side of the infield. Still scoreless in H-Town. Josh Reddick leads off the home 4th in a scoreless tie. Reddick, Gurriel, and Gonzalez against Carlos Carrasco, who for the most part has matched Lance McCullers pitch for pitch. And there's another 1 pitch out to lead off an inning. The second of those for Carrasco through 4. Hey, the Indians return home on Thursday for a 7-game homestand against these Astros and the Chicago White Sox. See Lindor, Ramirez, and Brantley and more in Cleveland. Visit Indians.com for tickets. Gotcha. 1 gone for Yuli Gurriel, who has 1 of the 3 hits in the ballgame tonight. And by the way, all 3 of those hits appear under the Indians, or the Astros side of the scoreboard, rather. Boy, why not? In a season that's been in part defined by no-hitters and near no-hitters. Chopper to shortstop. And 2 gone.
Carrasco has been able to utilize his 4 pitches. He's got the 2-seam fastball, slider, curveball, and change. But out of the hand, the idea is to make these pitches look like they're in that same window for a hitter. But look at the 4 directions they go to. The 4-seam is going to go to the left side of the plate, change up away, and then down depth with the slider and the curveball. When Carrasco is going well, he makes it very difficult because his utilization of those 4 pitches.
2 quick outs for him. Start the 4th. Now it's Marwin Gonzalez.
When I talked to him yesterday about his slider, he said that the time he spent in the bullpen in 2014, he had to focus on 2 pitches, and that's when he feels like that his slider really emerged as a weapon for him. It's been statistically one of the best sliders in baseball 2016, 2017.
He's only gone to the slider 7 times tonight, and for him, he's gotten strikeouts from the curveball changeup as well as that pitch. Hasn't gone to his fastball late. He's almost been not utilizing that even as much as he normally does, but his slider, which is the pitch he's known for, hasn't been the big one tonight.
1-1 to Gonzalez.
And you know, he resembles a lot of what David Cone did for so well for so long with Kansas City, the Mets, and of course the Yankees. He's throwing the breaking ball backdoor for strike 1, 2-1 pitches. He's using the fastball in to get lefties off the plate, and then he has a devastating changeup. So he has it all working.
Six strikeouts for Carrasco tonight. Carlos Carrasco and Lance McCullers putting on a clinic in Houston on this night. Still scoreless. Founded Wins for Warriors in 2016, a charity to empower military vets with a strong focus on family bonding activities and collaboration with other organizations. Among the many services they provide, mental health support to Iraq and Afghanistan veterans and their families. Hats off to Justin Verlander, not only for what he's doing on the field, but for what he's doing away from it this year. We're talking about you, Justin.
He knows.
He is watching and admiring his staff mate Lance McCullers tonight, who, along with Carlos Carrasco, is in control of this one. Scoreless as we start the 5th. Encarnacion, Alonso, and Correa here for the Indians. Out to left center field. Springer and Kemp negotiating, and it's the center fielder that makes the catch. This season, get the baseball game that'll have you wanting to play it again. RBI Baseball 18 delivers an all-new franchise mode and much more. RBI Baseball 18 is available now. Learn more at rbigame.com. Rated everyone. Here's Yonder Alonso now, a strikeout victim in the second. Alonso is going to be a quick out. We have seen a lot of those tonight.
Nice first pitch changeup. Acts like a little bit of a two-seam sinker, but as a changeup, 87 miles an hour. It induces a lot of easy outs. That's a perfect example there with Alonso.
It's what's interesting, Alex, on McCullers too, is he throws 3 pitches. He's got his fastball at 94. He's got his curveball and his changeup that both sit around 87. So normally starting pitchers will go 70s, 80s, and 90s. You'll see that difference of velocity. For him, he stays right around 7 miles an hour, and it's still so effective. And he'll still get the swing and miss.
Yeah, and it's the movement, right? He's got the two-seam fastball that's 94 to 96. He's got the wipeout slider, 87 to 88, and then the changeup. But all of them moving 3 different directions. That's what makes it so effective.
A ball and a strike to count to Melky Cabrera, one of the 6 strikeout victims tonight. Indians looking for their first hit, their first base runner tonight.
Dirty. I mean, that's when you know, and A.J. Hinch told us, look, this is a pitch that has really been almost the Achilles heel for Lance McCullers Jr. because when it's not working, he doesn't have a whole lot else to go. This is when it's working. Starts at the kneecaps, it's a strike. Cabrera takes the bait, and then it spikes right into the dirt.
What must be heartening for him, the last 2 pitches, he's executed the curveball, but the one before that, guys, when he tried the curveball, it was flat. It wasn't what he wanted. You could see him sort of shaking his head on the mound, and then he comes back with 2 good ones.
And it's not just the swing and misses. When you have players like Cabrera, Lindor, Ramirez, contact hitters, swing and miss, that tells you a lot more about the breaking ball than you need to know.
2-2 to Cabrera.
You see that spike right into the seam. A spiked curveball coming over the top, and you see it with his arm to create that shape to get the depth.
Cabrera giving him a pretty good battle and hanging around on 2-2. You know, A.J. Hinch told us before the game that there's been so much coverage of McCullers' curveball, he's almost become too aware of it. It's been a good one tonight.
I think anytime you throw one pitch that's not a fastball 24 consecutive times, let alone in the postseason against the Yankees, that's what he did last year in the ALCS to basically get this team, you know, into the World Series. 24 consecutive curveballs. So you're going to be known for it.
I guess. And there's worse things to be known for. I mean, it's gotten so much coverage, it's raised his own expectations of the pitch. Full count now. 3 balls and 2 strikes on Melky Cabrera. It's been the longest at-bat of the game on either side tonight. And Melky sends a fly ball into center. Call your friends. Lance McCullers is perfect through 5 tonight. very little happening in the runs and hits column. In fact, the Indians are without a hit. It's not dampened the appetite of the folks in the ballpark tonight, not by one bit. Brian McCann leads things off in the home half of the 5th as Carlos Carrasco goes back to work. Each starter has punched out 6 tonight. Looking more like a situation of who'll blink first. 1-1 to McCann. Well, we've seen the Astros in the shift all night, as they are inclined to do. And here for McCann, Cleveland loads up the right side. And that's something that Brian McCann's had to deal with for the last number of years. When you guys played together with the Yankees, Alex, this was something that Brian had seen really for the first time, and he was very candid as to how it bothered him back then.
It did. I mean, and he's very vocal about it. I mean, he would spend a lot of time, because he's a guy that can hit 300 with his ability. And all these hard ground balls were outs after outs, and it wore on him. And eventually he just said, I'm just going to start lifting the ball. And in Yankee Stadium, it was conducive for him lifting the ball for home runs.
Everybody at home saying, why doesn't he just hit it out the other way? Why doesn't he just bunt? Because it's hard, America.
Yes, it is.
Full count, 3 balls and 2 strikes.
You're not going to find a better teammate, more committed, does more homework than anybody in the game. And when you talk about a popular teammate, that's Brian McCann. As good as they come.
Payoff pitch. And McCann sends it the other way. Bradley able to put it away for out number 1.
And what we've seen tonight from both sides, Lance McCullers Jr. and the angle that both these pitchers create working off the far side of the first base part of the rubber. They've had exploding fastballs, swing and miss changeups, and wipe out breaking balls. The angle that they can create from that side and be able to get their pitches into the right position, into the right angles. But again, with that fastball, breaking bats, the slider, and that swing and miss changeup. It's been a pitcher's duel.
Here's Tony Kemp now.
You know, Jessica, also Carrasco is also showing us how valuable he could have been in the 2016 World Series. Instead, they had to lean on Bauer, Tomlin, and 3 times on Kluber. With the way this guy's pitching tonight, maybe the 2016 could have been a lot different for the Indians.
Kemp with a base hit sprayed into right field. 4th hit of the night for Houston. They've got a man aboard with 1 gone. The action here in Houston continues on Tuesday. The Astros host a 2-game series with the Giants. See Altuve, Springer, Bregman, and more match up against a tough club from the NL West. Visit Astros.com for tickets. Back to the top of the order now, and George Springer, who has grounded out twice to the right side of the infield tonight. This was around the time of year last season when George Springer's campaign seemed to be bottoming out. He went through a 2-for-25 slump in May and then just flipped it near the end of the month. Hit .389 over the final 40 games of the season leading into the All-Star break. Ended up with a huge year, 34 home runs, an OPS of almost 900. That's into center field and playable for Allen. And then, of course, we know about the damage he did en route to winning World Series MVP honors.
Well, and you think about how low he got during the World Series. I mean, he was awful. He was, I think, was it 4 strikeouts in 1 game? Remember, he had that one dive that he made where he completely missed the ball. It got by him. turned into a triple, and then he follows up like 5 minutes later with the biggest home run probably of his life into that moment, which tells you a little bit about the psyche of Springer and how much he can bounce back from the lowest of low to the highest of high.
And a terrific athlete, Jessica. I mean, I've seen him do the backflip just like Ozzie Smith. You know, he came out of Connecticut, great athlete, happy-go-lucky, and one of the true leaders of his team, and a very, very close relationship with Houston Astros manager A.J. Hinch.
Guys, you know, I talked to George Springer just before Game 7 of the World Series, and I never heard a player talk like him before a game like that. He said, you know what? No matter what happens, I'm good with it. Like, I've had such a wonderful time, a great experience. If we win, that's obviously what you want. If we lose, I'll never forget what we've been able to go through this fall.
Almost as though he knew what was coming. Kemp with a big lead off first. Bregman swings and sends a high fly ball to center field. Allen there for this one as well. And it's another scoreless inning twirled by Carlos Carrasco. One of the big storylines of 2018, the no-hitter surge. There's already been 3 of them, a couple of individual honors, and then a combined no-hitter on foreign soil, and a bunch of near no-hitters if you count 6 innings in. And Lance McCullers is entering his 6th inning tonight without having allowed a hit. There was one earlier today. Francisco Liriano had the Mariners hitless through 6. And Seattle ended up coming back to win it in 11 innings. So a 6-inning no-hitter does not history make, certainly, but there have been 22 of them this year. Amazing what's happening out there.
It's remarkable. And, you know, I had when I was with the Mariners, I had a no-hitter thrown against our team. It was Doc Gooden at Yankee Stadium. And it was one of the most incredible starts. But as a hitter, you're going up there every time saying, I'm going to be the guy that breaks this. I'm going to be the guy. And as they get past the 7th inning, that pressure shifts. And now the pressure gets to be on the hitter, not the pitcher.
Jason Kipnis, Yan Gomes, and Greg Allen will dig in looking for Cleveland's first hit tonight. And McCullers has been terrific. He struck out 6. Not only has he not allowed a hit, he has not allowed a base runner tonight. 2-2 to Kipnis.
How much conversation is there in the dugout about this guy? I covered David Cohn's no-hitter, and I remember at that time, Orlando Cabrera telling me in the Expos dugout at that time, the players were all talking about it, like, let's go, let's get it, let's get the first hit.
He goes on all the time, Buster, and that's exactly right. You want to talk about it, and a lot of times,
well, there it is.
There you go.
They were talking about it in the Cleveland dugout just a minute ago.
That's when you're like, no hitter, no hitter, no hitter, no hitter, as many times as you can say it.
A base hit for Kipnis, the first of the night for the Indians. I suddenly think we're going to get blamed for that. 5+ from McCullers, 1 hit. He has struck out 6. So now Yan Gomes. By the way, I might call that the dumbest superstition in baseball. I get it if you're not going to talk about it in the dugout or on the bench or in the clubhouse, but in the booth, we got to let the people know.
Got it. Oh!
Everybody lets it drop, but Altuve at least has the force out at second base. Was that the old okey doke with the I got it, I got it, I got it? Or did they really miscommunicate out there?
Well, that's a good question. I'm not sure. But usually you would make that play if you want to change one fast runner for a slow runner. In this case,
I think he did it on purpose. He looked back at Correa as he was pursuing that ball to check and see where he was,
and
then
so
made
relaxed.
the switch.
And they definitely did get less speed aboard in Gomes instead of Kipnis. Sold it pretty well, and now McCullers comes in and makes Allen move his feet.
Well, and he moved so far away. Usually you're backing up because you think you're going to run into someone and there's some sort of reaction. For him, he just kind of slowly moved out of the way, grabbed it, threw to second.
Yeah, I think we bought the fact it looked like they may have miscommunicated, but that is not the case upon further review.
Go between his legs.
Anytime you get a chance to put a catcher to run the bases, that's probably very good thinking for Altuve. He definitely did that on purpose.
1-1 to Allen.
You know, we're talking about McCullers, and in the old days, if you didn't throw your fastball, your manhood was questioned. Not anymore. The game has changed so much that analytics tells you if you have a good pitch, throw it more and more, just like McCullers' curveball.
Well, you know, as we were talking about last half inning, it's almost become a benchmark for his performance, his curveball only. And it's got so much coverage. It's such a weapon that for McCullers, you know, and now that seems to be the thing he looks at the most. And A.J. Hinch was talking about that. He is one of the league's leaders in topped contact. That is a ball that's beat directly down in the dirt, an indication of a good curveball. So bear with me here on the analogy. So imagine you go to a Mario Batali restaurant, and, and the marinara sauce is not what you thought it would be. Then you're questioning the whole menu, right? So for McCullers, if his curveball isn't A+, all of a sudden he doesn't have that same. Now you guys are looking at me like I'm an idiot.
It's going sideways.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Like, no, but you know, Matt, AJ was telling us today. He was actually telling us in his office today that if either hitters took his breaking ball or hit his breaking ball, but just even by not swinging at it, that it would have a negative effect on McCullers. I mean, that happens in Little League. That's how good his breaking ball is.
The expectation on that pitch, but I really believe, and AJ said this, you know, he has to also learn how to pitch, and you usually hear that with guys with their fastball because they're used to blowing it by people. They don't utilize anything else. Since he was in high school, has been dependent on his curveball, and when that pitch started to go away this season, he had to learn how to pitch, meaning utilize his changeup more, and he's throwing it now more than ever. Be able to locate his fastball and command it better than he's ever had to before.
Yeah, I like your guys' part better. that was probably better than what I said.
I am now hungry though.
I know. So that's what, you know, to be honest, I stopped listening because I started to think about what I ordered with the marinara sauce. It sounded so good.
Ball at a strikeout, Francisco Lindor. 7 strikeouts for McCullers now. And he has kept everybody quiet.
And you got to be careful with a guy like Lindor if you're McCullers here, because here's a guy that while everything's quiet, he can just lay in the weeds, and if you make a mistake, this game can be 2-0 very quickly.
One and two.
And that's where his curveball looks like a slider. I mean, and this pitch at 87, I mean, you would think it is a slider, but you see the grip right there. He's spiking it. It's his curveball, but it's got horizontal movement instead of straight down vertical drop, which we have seen in 3 of his strikeouts tonight. But this one goes more right to left and right at the back foot of Francisco Lindor. Dirty.
And Jess, I don't care what he calls it, that's a slider.
2 balls and 2 strikes. McCullers did not allow a hit until Kipnis's leadoff single in the 6th. Funny game, huh? The guy that breaks up the no-hit bid entered the day with the 5th lowest batting average in Major League Baseball. The MLB At-Bat mobile app brings every baseball moment to your favorite devices. Catch it all season with free MLB.tv game of the day, highlights, stats, news, and more. Download MLB At-Bat today. That's top contact, and it's rolled right to Gonzalez at first to retire the side. Still scoreless tonight in Houston. Half of inning number 6, Jose Altuve, Carlos Correa, and Josh Reddick against Carlos Carrasco. Altuve has a single and a stolen base tonight. Yeah, he takes a pitch, and you know he's going to look to swing.
Small guy carries a big stick.
Breaking balls in for a strike to put it behind 1-2. Since the start of last year, Jose Altuve hits a major league best .373 against the breaking ball. The next closest on the list, Buster Posey of the Giants, 35 points behind him. Oh, hey now. I don't know how that didn't hit him.
Boy, as a hitter, especially with a guy like Carrasco who has a nasty slider, you want to lay in there as long as you can. Oh. Scary feeling.
So 2 balls and 2 strikes to Jose Altuve. And a full count now.
So if you're Carrasco here and you know you have a guy like Altuve that loves to swing and hack, you're thinking slider that looks like a strike but ends up a ball, and hope that Altuve and analytics strike again.
Full count, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Went back outside. Now Altuve stays alive.
You know, he is one of the best with 2 strikes too, because his ability to not even have his lower half. We saw him get a hit in the first inning with 2 strikes with that same swing. I mean, this is just a battle, 2 strikes off the plate, waste the pitch, and get himself back in this count.
When Carrasco came up and in to dust him there, he didn't want to hit him, but that pitch was there by design. Altuve, Correa up next. They don't like it inside. And there's a ground ball for the shortstop, Lindor. Altuve slipped coming out of the box, and that allows Lindor to make easy work of him for out number 1. Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN, presented by Taco Bell, is brought to you by Nissan. Innovation that excites, and the magic of Walt Disney World Resort Hotels.
What seat are you calling for 2 weeks from now when we're sitting in the seats here in Houston? You want front row? Should we go on the back?
Yeah, I'm more of a back guy. Something tells me I'm not going to have a choice, though.
I kind of wanted the front and lean over and grab one. Totally change.
I'll be on the one with a booster seat.
Booster seat.
Here's Carlos Correa.
You know, if you're an American League team and you're underestimating this Indians team that's only 22-22, that's a mistake. I mean, this team has a lot of great attributes. One, they have speed at the top of the order with Lindor and Ramirez. They have power in the middle with Encarnacion. The back end is covered with Cody Allen and Andrew Miller. And then you have perhaps the best pitcher in the game in Cody Kluber. And let's not forget, you have Tito Francona, the master and 2-time world champion. It's a lot.
It is a lot. And right now, you think how their bullpen is their biggest weakness right now, but they've been hitting, which usually it's the pitching and the bullpen, what they rely so much on. So just like the Astros, you know the offense is going to get going. You know the bullpen for the Indians, something they've been known so much more for. That record, you're right, does not show what this team is about. And Corey Kluber, I agree, man. We saw him pitch last night.
There's something else to remember, too. They inhabit what is generally considered within the sport to be the weakest division. In the American League Central, it might be the Minnesota Twins versus the Indians. And part of the reason why, while the Red Sox, the Yankees might be better teams right now in terms of a path to the postseason, might be easier for the Indians if they figure out some of the bullpen issues.
You know, Buster, and because you mentioned the weaker division, it allows them time to get their house in order. But when you're a team that's playing against the Indians, you're looking at the number 1 and number 2 starters. You're looking at the 8th and 9th inning. And then you're looking at the 3 switch hitters they now have with Melky Cabrera and a guy that neutralizes the middle of that lineup in Encarnacion. In a short series, they can be devastating.
On the ground to the right side for Kipnis. And Correa is retired for round number 2. Well, you know, if it wasn't for the Astros off to such an amazing start with their starting staff, we'd be talking more about Cleveland's starting rotation. You guys mentioned Corey Kluber. The Indians entered play tonight with a 3.41 starters ERA. And had it not been for the Astros at 2.30, a preposterously low figure, we'd be celebrating Cleveland's staff. But I don't think anybody's going to match the Astros 1 through 5 with the way they have begun the 2018 season. Here's Reddick now.
And I know we talked about Justin Verlander earlier and the season that he's been able to have and the ability the Astros have had to even get him better. But I think about Garrett Cole. And you got to credit Brent Strom, the pitching coach for the Astros. Excuse me, Brent Strom, and his ability to work with these pitchers when they come over. They're already great. But I look at Garrett Cole. I mean, Verlander was already great. You knew what he had in him. Garrett Cole, you knew the potential, but he hasn't shown. He never showed in a Pittsburgh uniform what he's been able to show early on here in Houston.
And that's nothing short of amazing that the top 3 ERA leaders in the circuit are all Astros. And for context, 47 games this year played by the Astros. No other major league team in the last 50 years had 3 qualifiers with ERAs below 2 at least 47 games into the season. You got to go back to the '81 Dodgers.
Oh, that's
Jerry Royce, Fernando, and Happy Hoot. And I think we'd all agree in 1981 the game was a little different than it is today.
And a lot of credit goes to Justin Verlander, who's done a terrific job of leading this staff.
Reddick with a sharply hit smash right at Kipnis for a 1-2-3 home half of the 6th. To the 7th inning, still sitting on a scoreless tie. As we dig in for the last, or the top rather, of the 7th, and we take a look at the Indians team upgrade brought to you by Napoleon Grills. An upgrade just by virtue of having a healthy Michael Brantley, limited to 11 games in 2016, 90 games last year. This season off to a terrific start. One of the lowest strikeout rates in baseball. This is a career 300 hitter. And he is right and healthy in 2018, and he leads things off in the 7th against Lance McCullers. Michael Brantley has been the Indians' best 2-strike hitter this year, and their best hitter in the 7th inning or later, a stage of the game that we have just begun. He's the first casualty in the 7th inning.
You know, it's cool how we talk about the Astros and how much they shift more than any other team in baseball, but it's also interesting how they shift different hitters that you think are incredibly similar with their outfield. So we see the shift a lot of times, as you'll see right now with Ramirez coming up, with the infield all to the right side. But even from Brantley, the last batter, to Ramirez now, and the difference of where the outfield will go. So Brantley is known for being able to hit the ball to all fields. In fact, he had a home run last night into left field. And so the way the Astros will position him compared to even Ramirez. So here's Brantley, last batter. See, all the outfield is shifted over to the left. You've got Reddick way, way off the line to be able to cover his ability to especially go opposite field. But now you have Ramirez, another lefty, and they move about 5 to 10 feet over. So if you had basically both outfield from last batter to this batter for the Astros, it's a difference of 10 to 15 feet in how much they will maneuver their outfield and not just their infield for shifting.
Wow, that's one of the best contact hitters in baseball, taking a wild hack and miss.
Man, that's a great point. One of the best contact hitters on the planet, and he takes a swing like that. But it's not just a slider. I like this version of McCullers than the guy that threw 24 sliders in a row. Tonight's been the sinker, the slider, and the changeup.
4th best contact hitter in baseball, courtesy of StatCast, powered by AWS. He tried to check it, went around. But Lance McCullers has his number tonight.
You think about how Lance McCullers has even got his strikeouts tonight, and it's come not just on the curveball slider, but his changeup too, which has been a pitch he's thrown more tonight than he has all season long. And it's living off the edges. And you see there with his curveball that he's gotten K's on, then he'll come right back with that changeup. And look at the depth on this pitch to get the swing and miss. So both these pitches starting in the zone, but living off the edges with the misses. And his changeup percentage tonight almost at 30%. His season average is 15. So he is doubling the amount of changeups that he's throwing tonight that he normally has all season.
All 8 of the strikeouts have come swinging tonight. 2 gone bases empty for Encarnacion, who lays off a tough pitch on the corner.
And every team needs a leader. And I keep going back to Justin Verlander. But he's taught them how to win. He's taught them how to be a world champion. He led them there. But it's his work in between starts, it's the way he long tosses. What a great role model for the other 4 that are behind him. I cannot say enough about Jim Crane and GM Luna, how valuable that has been for this team in the development in the upcoming years.
McCullers just touched 95 a moment ago, his biggest velocity of the night. He's got there in the 7th as Encarnacion fouls a pitch back to make it 2-2. We said this like 5 innings ago. It might turn into a night where who blinks first.
Yeah, I love the pitchers duels as we get late, just because I also like 9-inning games, which we don't seem to see many of those. We get the extra innings. I want to see some hits. Like, you want to see not just and then runs. At some point, the offense has got to wake up.
You know, Terry Francona was lamenting that part of modern baseball to us before the game, talking about how, you know, with strikeouts on the rise and home runs and walks on the rise, we don't have a chance as managers to hit and run anymore. I mean, that is not only a lost art, it's almost dead. Hit and runs are down league wide each of the last 5 years. Encarnacion gets dusted up and in. So on ball 4, the Indians have their second base runner of the game.
That's a changeup here that got away from him a little bit.
Hey, a moment to remind you, Monday our ESPN Plus matchup has the Marlins at Citi Field to take on the Mets in the first of their 3-game series at 7:10 Eastern. This one's also streaming live on the ESPN app, so start your free trial of ESPN Plus now. Here's Yonder Alonso now with a man on and 2 away. Alonso just 3 for his last 19. And Alex, this is a guy you've known for a long time, a much better hitter than what his .218 batting average would imply.
Yeah, he's a guy that, you know, hovers around the 350 to 370 on base percentage guy ever since he was at the University of Miami and Coral Gables High School. He's always had the ability to control the strike zone. And you know, Alonso is a great story. If you think about him, his father Luis, his mother Damaris, and his younger sister Yaini, they came on a small plane from Cuba, got woken up at 3:30 in the morning, flew into Key West, and both kids go to Coral Gables High School. Yanni, his sister, not only graduates from the University of Miami, but is married to none other than Mr. Manny Machado.
Did you say his sister's name is Yanni?
Yes.
As in
Oh no.
Laurel?
Oh no.
Or Yanni?
Oh no. I knew you were going there.
Something like that.
Okay.
You have to explain that.
I mean, it's all the rage on the interweb right now that you hear this kind of frequency test, and some people hear the word Laurel, as that person may. Some hear Yanni. This is what it sounds like.
Laurel. 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 Laurel.
I don't hear anything but
Laurel.
Yeah.
Laurel.
I don't either.
I hear that red sauce you were talking about earlier, man.
I don't get it. It's just like the gold dress versus the blue dress.
But we sat in our meeting this morning, and like there were people in there that seriously were like, "No, Yanni. We're
all brainwashed. Somebody pushes something out on the internet, puts it on social media, and we're all buying it." Here's Melky Cabrera now with 2 runners aboard. A pair of 2-out walks have given the Indians their first real threat. You know, there's a baseball application to the Yanni or Laurel discussion too. Do you hear Correa or Lindor? Listen how close this is.
Lindor. Lindor. Correa. Correa.
It's amazing how similar they sound.
I heard Didi Gregorius.
Well, there's going to be at least one American League shortstop, Buster. I'm not sure what you heard or if you even endorsed this tomfoolery, but there's going to be one American League shortstop that might get left off the All-Star honors in D.C. in a month and a half.
Yeah, maybe Andrelton Simmons, who's having a phenomenal season, has been considered to be the best defender. That's going to be the toughest choice, I think, for voters, for the players. Who's going to be on the American League All-Star team as a shortstop?
McCullers trying to squash this 2-out rally, and he misses down and away.
And these are their exact at-bats why I love this move for Cleveland so much. You're going to get a lot of mature at-bats, great pitching on the mound. You're going to see a guy that can put the ball in play and get a lot of big hits. He's an October player. That's why he won a championship in 2009. Like that.
Cabrera dumps the ball into right, but it hangs up for Reddick, who makes a little adjustment to retire the side. 2 left stranded in the Cleveland 7th. They're up and stretching in Houston in the midst of a still scoreless game. couple of key defensive moments and some fantastic starting pitching, all leading into a scoreless tie as we hit the bottom half of the 7th inning. Back with Buster Olney, Jessica Mendoza, Alex Rodriguez, Matt Vasgersian, and Carlos Carrasco back to work. Neither starter showing an inclination that they'd like to break tonight. And here's Yuli Gurriel to lead things off with a rocket back up the middle. And the Astros have their leadoff hitter aboard to start the home 7th. Reminder, weekdays on ESPN2 at 4 p.m. Eastern, Intentional Talk, a fun 1-hour breakdown of baseball's hottest topics with Chris Rose and Kevin Millar. You can also watch it live on the ESPN app if you're at work. First time the Astros have put their leadoff hitter aboard against Carrasco tonight. And now it's Marwin Gonzalez. Just over 90 pitches for Carrasco this evening. He has been extremely efficient. He's got plenty of gas left, too. He's the only pitcher in baseball to throw at least 112 in each of his last 3 starts. Now, that having been said, there is some bullpen activity up on both sides. We're not into save situation territory yet. Cody Allen's up. And Will Harris up on the other side. Allen worked yesterday, but told Terry Francona today that he'd like to get into back-to-back games as he tries to get closer to 100%. Gonzalez bunts, and it's a good one.
Oh, I love it. A.J. Hinch exercising a little old-school Astro baseball at the Astrodome. I love it. And this is a playoff game. This is exactly what we're going to need to do in October. I like to see more of this during the season. Why not practice what it's going to take to be a world champion? I love it.
Another thing along with the hit and run that's become a lost art. Last year, fewer sack bunts than in any previous season in Major League history, at least in the modern day incarnation, post dead ball era, that is. And here's Brian McCann now with a runner at second and 1 away.
So, Alex, I was intrigued by, because you clearly a couple times during the course of the season have advocated for the bunt. And I looked it up here. You've got 16 sacrifice hits to your credit. Okay, a lot of home runs, but 16 sacrifice hits. So you walk the walk.
Well, I didn't want to bunt. I wanted the guys in front of me to bunt.
Brian McCann with a drive to right field. That one's got a chance. Cabrera looks up, and it's 2-0 Astros.
And Brian McCann, talking to him before the game, you're going to see him throw a little cement mixer right here, hanging, and Brian McCann got all of it. And it's like Joe Torre once told me, you think little, big things will happen. Well, A.J. Hinch did exactly that with the bunt and got the big boom from Big Mac. Brian McCann, 2-0 Astros.
Now Tony Kemp follows with a pop-up. And Francisco Lindor calling everybody off. Now it's Brantley for out number 2.
And Buster, getting back to your question, A.J. Hinch, give him credit, give him an assist for the bunt and the home run. What you like about it is you're sending a message to your 25-man roster that is no longer swing for the fences or everything. He's going to help you contribute. He is telling you 90 feet is important. Therefore, as a hitter, when you go up there, you're just thinking base hit back up the middle, think the other way, and boom, big shot home run. I love what A.J. Hinch did right there.
Top of the order, George Springer now. You know, because the Astros, led by Springer and Altuve and Correa, are young and dynamic, you might be tempted as a fan to sleep on the 7-time All-Star Brian McCann, who is one of the best hitting catchers in baseball history. And a little pop that retires the side. All 4 of Brian McCann's homers this year have given the Astros the lead, the most recent of which tonight, and it's 2-0 Houston. Wild Naked Chicken Chalupa, and in part by T-Mobile, America's most loved wireless company. Join the Un-carrier today. That swing the difference so far tonight. Brian McCann's 2-run home run in the last of the 7th. Back to work and receiving a new pitcher as right-hander Will Harris takes over here to start the 8th. Harris making his 19th appearance of the year, and he's working with 5 days rest. Last outing came a scoreless inning on Tuesday in Anaheim.
Well, he'll throw that fastball up in the zone, work his curveball off of that. He also cut his fastball. Those are his 3 pitches. LSU guy rooting on his Tigers. Him and his brother Clay both played there. They got the SEC tournament, college baseball this week.
A foul ball up the first baseline. Yeah, Will Harris is a real big league survivor. 33-year-old, a Houston native, by the way, born here in the Space City. Waived by 3 organizations during his career. He's come back from a pair of major elbow surgeries to turn into one of the Astros' most reliable bullpen arms the last 3+ years.
Now that's a shift.
Ball and 2 strikes, the count to Jason Kipnis. Kipnis had the 1 base hit The one and still only base hit for Cleveland tonight. That came to lead off the 6th and interrupt Lance McCullers' perfect night to that point. Well, was he good tonight?
Oh, and it's crazy to think he's what, their 4th or 5th starter, and right. As good as the rotation, we've talked about it already. The bullpen, probably not with that pitch, but the bullpen has had the best ERA in the American League. So you talk about guys like Will Harris, Chris Davinsky, Ken Giles. I mean, McHugh, Peacock. They've got what the Indians have had the last few years.
If the score stays like this, it's kind of an option for A.J. Hinch as to who'll close tonight. Kipnis sprays a little shot out over the bag for Correa. Well, as impressive as Lance McCullers was tonight, it still wasn't the most impressive thing that Alex Rodriguez saw in person this weekend. Tell us how you got invited to the royal wedding yesterday, by the way, and got here so quickly.
Front row.
It was via email.
That is great. I almost bought that for a second. I wouldn't put it past you to be right there at the wedding and somehow get yourself.
My daughters loved it. They were all over this.
So did you enjoy yourself at the royal wedding?
It was great. The champagne and the caviar was outstanding.
Can somebody let me into the joke? Was that Alex or not? Were you there or not?
No.
I'm buying it.
No, I wish.
No. Really?
I bought it until I realized there's no way they're going to let him stand while they're kissing in like the main part of the wedding. Right there with his camera out.
I was struggling doing math work with my girls.
If somebody had sold to me that you went to the royal wedding, I would have believed it.
I mean, he's kind of a big deal, apparently. Look at that.
Okay.
That's exactly what I would have been doing, too.
Insta story.
Right away.
2 balls and no strikes. They count to Yan Gomes. And Harris catches the corner to make it 2-1. One out, base is empty. And after the home run by Brian McCann, a 2-0 Houston lead. Big swing and a miss to put Gomes even at 2-2. Full count now.
You know, we mentioned Jeff Luna, the GM of the Houston Astros, who was recruited in 2003 by the Cardinals organization to run the farm system. That led to a world championship. Then he came here in 2011 and has brought analytics. And today, the Houston Astros are the gold standard for analytics.
Yeah, and by their own admission, it was a combination of their kind of proprietary approach to analytics, and that's a code that none of us will be allowed to crack. And the combination of last year bringing in some veterans to the clubhouse, right? It's not just a spreadsheet. So you bring in Carlos Beltran, you bring in Brian McCann, you strike out less, you add some veteran leadership, and the mix, the blend was perfect.
It was perfect. He brought Alex Correa, who was a conduit from AJ and the front office, to this young staff, a bunch of great young Latino players. And, you know, when I entered the game in '94, who would have thought that a guy that graduated from Penn, an engineer, and then goes to Kellogg and gets their MBA, is now running a baseball franchise and doing it in such a beautiful way.
And I think about just the mix that you mentioned, and I feel like that's something right now when you're talking about their offense getting going. It's because sometimes the analytics can be too much, so you want to blend it back, and that's where the Beltrons will come in and be like, just see it and hit it. Josh Reddick brings a lot of that as well.
Big swing and a miss by Gomes. Hey, speaking of offenses and young teams that have built something special, let's take a look at today's high performance play brought to you by Mother's Polish. 9th inning, bases loaded with the Braves down a run. Teheran Guerrero pitching, and Dansby Swanson hits the walk-off knock that gives the Braves a amazing comeback win. They, the Braves, have the best team in the National League on this day of the schedule. atop the NL East by a game and a half over Philly.
Well, and as much love as we give the youth of the Braves of Acuna and Albies, Dansby Swanson kind of gets lost in that. But he was the #1 pick, went to the Diamondbacks, #1 first-round pick out of Vanderbilt, and he struggled when he first came up, and he is having a phenomenal season. To add one more with that huge walk-off, probably the biggest he's had.
2 gone, bases empty for Greg Allen now. You know, the Braves kind of get us back to that conversation that you just led to, Alex, talking about the Astros and Jeff Luhnow and how he just hasn't really missed with a #1 pick. His first year running a draft here, 2012, he gets Carlos Correa #1 overall, home run. His next pick in that draft, Lance McCullers, home run. When you miss on your first draft picks, that can set you back years, and the Astros just haven't done that.
I mean, they're the gold standard for a reason, and they have Springer, University of Connecticut, didn't miss there. Alex Bregman, shortstop, the #2 pick, that's a grand slam.
But they did miss. You got to remember Mark Appel out of Stanford. He was their #1 pick. Never made it to the bigs.
There's a line shot into right, and Allen is aboard. It's the second hit of the ball game for Cleveland. I'm going to defend myself in a sec. But first I want to remind you, the Celtics lead the series 2-1 with their win with the Cavs win yesterday, and Monday on ESPN, Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals, 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. Coverage tips off at 7:30 with NBA Countdown. Both are streaming live on the ESPN app, so you can watch anywhere. Pitching change. The changeup specialist, Chris Davinsky, will buy me about 2 minutes to rebut Jessica's comments.
You're going to need it.
How did
Stanford, USC coming back.
Brian McCann, the story tonight. 2-run home run against Carlos Carrasco, the difference in a 2-0 Astros lead.
Feel good?
Wow.
We got to work on AJ's personality a little bit.
I mean,
give us some more.
He's got like one of the best personalities in the game, but tonight he's been muted. I think it's been too close a game for him to let loose.
True. That's true.
Pitching change, and he's gone to the bullpen for the second time tonight for the changeup specialist, right-hander Chris Davinsky. Davinsky will face Francisco Lindor with a runner aboard and 2 gone.
Well, and you're going to see Davinsky come in a lot of times to the premier lefties, and that's why he's in right now against Francisco Lindor. He's got reverse splits, and it's because of the pitch you mentioned in that changeup, and that's his best pitch. He'll throw it fairly often, and against these lefties, it can be a huge swing and miss.
27-year-old all-star last season. He's got another lefty bat waiting next to Michael Brantley, and he's in front of Lindor now 0-2. Can I just button up my thought there on the #1 picks by the Astros?
Please.
Because you killed me on Mark Appel, so okay. But they were able to trade him to get Ken Giles, who has been a big part of their success the last couple of years, postseason notwithstanding last year.
I'll take your trade, and I'll give you Brady Aiken, who is another first-round draft pick.
Okay. All right, they've missed on a couple.
But that's what's crazy is they've missed, and they've still been able to have the team that they have.
There's a miss by Francisco Lindor, which wraps up the 8th to the bottom of the inning. Still 2-0 Houston. Eastern from the friendly confines, and then it's out to Chavez Ravine Dodger Stadium for the Rockies and Dodgers at 10 o'clock Eastern. Then Jess, Buster, Alex, and I are in Chicago for the Giants and Cubs on ESPN2 a week from tonight. Dodgers have kind of heated up-ish again. A little bit of momentum after what looked like a pretty dreadful beginning to a pennant defending season in LA. Dodgers have won 4 in a row.
Justin Turner, their best player's back. Third baseman Justin Turner.
Third baseman Alex Bregman leading off against Carlos Carrasco, who's still in the game. Deep in the shortstop hole, the throw by Lindor, and Alonso can't fish it out. Bregman's aboard on his 2nd hit of the game.
There's a very tough play here for Francisco Lindor. He makes the decision to back up, which makes this throw very, very long. And if he had to do it again, he probably goes with the long hop and bounces that ball almost like a basketball bounce pass. It was in between, an impossible play for Alonso.
Not to mention, when Alex Bregman smells a knock, he'll find that extra gear. He's got to have the dirtiest uniform every night here. Here's Altuve now.
Now you're probably asking yourself, why is Carrasco still in the game with 101 pitches? The guy they miss, and they miss dearly, is Brian Shaw, who threw 70+ innings every year and was a lethal weapon nightly for Tito Francona.
Well, how much they relied on him, and he mixed and matched and used him differently. And And it allowed Andrew Miller and Cody Allen to be the pitchers they were, because they always knew Shaw could pitch multiple innings if needed. He could do so much things within any game.
And it's interesting because Tito Francona told us in his office today that sometimes it's like that offensive guard you never notice until they're gone. Well, Brian Shaw's gone, and they miss him dearly.
Indians have Tyler Olson up now. Yeah, regarding Shaw, Francona had a great line. He said it's rare to find a guy that can save your staff and then also save a game for you.
Yep.
Carrasco's only mistake tonight, the 2-run home run to McCann in the 7th. Altuve with a base hit back up the middle. Jose Altuve with a couple of hits and playing some heads-up defense earlier in this game.
Did you see Jose yell at Carlos to go get second base?
Oh, yeah.
Before that play happened? Ball up in the air, Jose yells at Carlos to go cover second. Oh boy, smart play. You yelled at Carlos too, didn't you? No, smart.
In control.
So cool.
Yeah.
And to do that during a pop fly, to be able to yell and communicate to one of your guys on the field, like, hey, cover, I'm going to let this pop fly drop because we got a slower runner that's going to end up at first base.
Runners at first and second here with nobody out. And now it's Correa. Carlos has been quiet offensively tonight, 0 for 3. Did hit a 2-run homer yesterday and has homered in 3 of his last 4 here at home. On the ground is shortstop. Lindor to Kipnis. Back to Alonso, the double play. That's the 4th double play the Astros have hit into in the series. And that apparently is going to be all for Carlos Carrasco tonight. Left-handed bat scheduled, left-handed arm hot and ready to go out of the Indians bullpen. A great night from Carrasco, hoping his mates can get him off the hook in a 2-0 Astros lead. The Warriors boat race the Rockets in Oakland, plus a look ahead to Celtics-Cavs Game 4 tomorrow night, and highlights and analysis from the Golden Knights Game 5 win over Winnipeg to get to the Stanley Cup Final. One of the great stories in sports. SportsCenter next on ESPN and on the ESPN app. Left-hander Tyler Olson takes over, searching for the final out here in the 8th. He's got a runner at third and 2 gone, and he'll go to work on Josh Reddick.
Tyler Olson's fastball, curveball, changeup. He's got that curveball as his go-to, which he will sweep to left-handed batters. He'll even backdoor it, back-foot it to right-handed batters.
Reddick 0 for 3 so far tonight. Trying to pick up Bregman some insurance at third with 2 away as Olson's first pitch is in for a strike. Tyler Olson made his major league debut as a Seattle Mariner back in 2015. Entered a game in the 9th inning, threw 1 pitch, got a double play ball, and had officially logged his first career outing. And it's really hard to tell because records like this only go back so far. But as far as a lot of people are concerned, it is the only major league debut that's resulted in 1 pitch, 2 outs, and a save. Reddick with a blast out to right center field. Allen on the run, and it splits the gap. That scores Bregman easily. Josh Reddick with an RBI double to make it a 3-0 Houston lead.
And this is obviously a mistake by Tyler Olson. He drops down a little bit, goes away from his best pitch, which is his curveball, and tries to sneak a fastball in. That fastball leaks back over the middle of the plate, and Reddick is all over it. An 0-2 mistake, and you can see the reaction in Olson of disappointment the minute he released that baseball. And that's his last hitter.
So pitching changes for back-to-back plate appearances as a guy who's been much improved against left-handed pitching cashes in. It's going to be Cody Allen to go to work on Yuli Gurriel next. 3-0 game, but a nice night for Josh Reddick and a really nice night, Alex, for your old teammate Brian McCann.
It sure has been. Brian McCann has been a one-man wrecking crew. First here with the offense, with the blast, and then defensively with men in scoring position. A really nice job of keeping the game in front of him. Big Mac.
So pitching changes by the Indians in back-to-back plate appearances. Olson loses Reddick, and now it's Cody Allen for Yuli Gurriel.
Yuli Gurriel's seen the ball big tonight. Not that he doesn't on a lot of occasion, but he struggled a little bit this year. We had the double back in the first inning. He singled, shot right up the middle, his last at bat. Cody Allen, an elevated heater and a wipeout curveball.
Allen has not been as automatic so far to start this season as to what Indians fans have been spoiled watching the last few years. 6 for 7 in save opportunities this year. He's only had 1 save since the 25th of April, just hadn't had the opportunity. And hadn't been completely right physically. That's a part of his story as well. And it's 2 balls and a strike to Gurriel now.
Yeah, and it was clear from talking to Terry Francona before the game that he really wanted to get Cody Allen in this game today. So while it's unusual for him to come into a game where the Indians are trailing 3-0, this was pre-planned to get him some work.
Two balls and a strike to Gurriel. Breaking ball misses to make it 3-1.
And let's face it, guys. I mean, the Indians' biggest challenge from here on out is to get this bullpen right. You know, 2016 it was a strength. Now 30th out of 30 teams in ERA from that bullpen. They have to find solutions.
Boy, you never would have guessed it with this group on paper on opening day. It's been a strength of theirs the last couple of years. And Terry Francona, Buster, if you'll recall, told us before the game, there aren't many other options. What they have here is what they're going to have to get right. He's got to get this group right. They might not have the luxury to go shopping and write a bunch of checks prior to the trading deadline.
But this is the Cleveland Indians. I mean, look at those numbers. I mean, the fact that they're last, 29th and 25th, ERA, whip, saves, and home run per 9. This is an Indians team that has been the best, one of the best, with their bullpen the last 3 to 4 years.
Still 3-2.
Yeah, there could be some options that become available for all contending teams before the July 31st trade deadline. It will be interesting to see if the Indians, who didn't spend a lot of money during the last offseason, would invest in some relief help. And look, certainly within the division, they have a lot of opportunity there, and they certainly have a lot of need.
Full count pitch to Gurriel. Fly ball out to shallow left. Lindor read it well off the bat and puts it away. To the top of the 9th inning, and the last chance for the Indians to get back in this one. They've got their meat of the lineup due up next, down by 3. Strike in the 8th. Both starters were terrific tonight. McCullers struck out 8 through 7 shutout innings, and Carrasco through 7 2/3 allowed the 3 earned runs, striking out 6. Chris Davinsky will try to finish this one. He came on in the 8th after Will Harris entered first from the bullpen, and here Davinsky gets Brantley, Ramirez, and Encarnacion. For sure, Michael Brantley. This is a matchup that A.J. Hinch told us he was hoping he'd have an opportunity to use. Ken Giles will be hot if needed. And there's still a chance that Giles could come out to finish business against Edwin Encarnacion.
And if we haven't talked enough about the Astros starters, leading the world in innings pitched, strikeouts, ERA, to do it in this park that allows the most home runs in any park in baseball this season, 2018.
Against a team that has more home runs than anyone else in baseball in the Cleveland Indians.
Not a coincidence, too, when a good starting staff also has a bullpen that leads the league in ERA, because they are more often than not put in a situation to succeed. And that's the case with Houston. Their bullpen's been great this year. Brantley with an opposite field drive. Kemp is on the run, and it's over his head. Brantley into second with a leadoff double.
The reason why A.J. Hinch wanted this matchup is because Davinsky, his changeup is so effective against left-handed batters. And Michael Brantley, watch what he does. He knows what's coming. Look at him wait. Look at him just keep his weight back to be able to recognize this pitch when you know it's coming, and you're able to just sit a little bit longer and then drive it to left field in that corner here at Minute Maid. And he does get in at second base.
So the Indians with the 9th inning pulse now, and here's Jose Ramirez, who is 0 for 3 and due. Started the night hitting safely in 16 of his last 19. You know, just to button up the thought on the Indians bullpen, there aren't many among us that don't think that it'll be fine. Andrew Miller is too good. Cody Allen is too good. And while Miller's had some physical problems, Allen, for the most part, I indicated earlier that his save total is low because of lack of opportunity and physical trouble. There's no injury with Allen, nothing specifically wrong with him. He just hasn't been himself on the mound. And the back of the baseball card for both of those guys indicates they'll be just fine. A ball and a strike to Ramirez. To 2-1 now.
In muscle memory in baseball, it's vital, and they have great muscle memory by going to the World Series. They have the key pieces in place, but more importantly, they have a manager, a leader that understands what it takes to win. Do not underestimate the Indians.
3 balls and a strike now. The tying run in the on-deck circle.
And this should be his last hitter either way. With Giles up for Encarnacion.
Ramirez into right center. Over to get it is Springer. A fine running catch for out number 1.
And not only does he get a good jump, but he actually routes this not perfectly. And you're going to see him kind of make a left turn. He goes into the gap, but watch him make this left turn when he recognizes it's got more depth than he thought. And that's the athleticism of George Springer, is you're in a full sprint and then look at him turn his body to be able to make the grab.
And the Astros will make a pitching change to try to close it with Ken Giles. We'll be right back. scenarios that's played out. Runner on for Encarnacion, and it will be Ken Giles who have the opportunity to save it tonight. 7 for 7 this year in save opportunities, an ERA at 3.77. Small sample size has in part led to that high ERA at home that you see. Michael Brantley, the runner at third, with one gone for Edwin Encarnacion. A big-time home run threat, making the great running catch by Springer even more important, because without it, Encarnacion is at the plate as the tying run with nobody out. Hitless tonight, and off to a similar slow start as to the one he embarked his Indians career with last year.
Let's take one more look at George Springer. It talks so much about what he does with the bat, but him taking down center field and this big grab, not only getting into it, being able to move mid-stride and adjust. Pig out for the Stros.
0-2 to Encarnacion. Challenges at 98-mile-an-hour gas.
Throwing gas. You know, another reason why I'm very bullish and long on the Indians is Michael Brantley. You know, here's a guy that does so many good things for Tito Francona and the Indians. You know, he's a good leader. His demeanor is great for the young players in the clubhouse, but also in the batter's box. Reminds me of a John Olerud, someone who has a quiet approach.
Encarnacion with a roller. The Astros will concede the run for the out. It's 3-1 with 2 gone here in the ninth.
Yeah, so someone who really controls the strike zone. He's the best fastball hitter on the team. He's also the best breaking ball hitter on the team. He hits good pitching. He controls the strike zone, and that type of behavior, both on the field and off the field, in the batter's box, really it's contagious. I'm a big fan.
Well, he's a guy who's going to be interesting to watch as the year winds down, too. A free agent at the end of the season. He's been such an important player for the Indians the last number of years. Well, here's Yonder Alonso now. Represents a last chance for Cleveland with 2 out, down by 2, and the base is empty here in the ninth.
Now, call me old school. You're down by 2 runs. They're giving you a bunt. Your run means nothing. I would be begging him, if I was his teammate, to bunt the ball. Do not overthink it. Just bunt the baseball.
Because of where the defense is played. I mean, it's. I wish I had to just draw this space right here, this space right here.
Well, you talk about committed to the shift, right? Bunt for base hit. You're bringing the tying run to the plate, Melky Cabrera. Hits right into the shift, and that, folks, will wrap it up tonight. Brian McCann, one of the heroes, his 2-run home run, the first runs of the game in the bottom of the 7th. The Astros added another in the 8th. They take 2 out of 3 from the Indians after a 3-1 win here tonight. Coming up next on ESPN SportsCenter, a complete recap of the Warriors, Rockets, and the Golden Knights going to the Stanley Cup Finals in the NHL. Major League Baseball doubleheader action Tuesday here on ESPN with the Indians and Cubs, and then the Rockies and Dodgers at 10 Eastern. The final score from Houston tonight: the Astros defeat the Indians 3-1. For Alex Rodriguez, Jessica Mendoza, and Buster Olney, Matt Vasgersian saying goodnight from Minute Maid Park. Let's send you to SportsCenter with Scott Van Pelt.